The following is a live sports event featuring the Abernathy Antelopes or Lady Lopes and is under the direction of AA Sports Properties in partnership with Abernathy ISD. This broadcast cannot be reproduced or retransmitted without the written consent of AA Sports Properties. Tonight's broadcast is made possible by the support of our generous sponsors: MC Master Roofing and Construction, South Plains Auto Ranch, First State Bank, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Abernathy First Baptist Church, Storm Guard, Clark Riley Insurance, Able Funeral Home and Flower Shop, Plains Land Bank, JC Refrigeration, Spradlin Spray Service, Vista Bank, Lambert Insurance, The Junkin Farmers Market, Ty Horsford Realtor, and DB Media. Buckle up and enjoy all of the exciting action with the Abernathy Antelopes and Lady Lopes.
To Rolando. This time he takes it himself untouched into the end zone. Rolando Martinez from 1 yard out. And the Abernathy Antelopes strike first. Comes McKaylin Marshall off the dribble. Mid-range jumper. Marshall gives Abernathy the lead. Now he hands it to Rolando. Burst of speed up the middle. Dagger! Touchdown! Superman! Second, over the leg, in the corner, Flores, it's good! Flores the steal, and the three-pointer as time runs out. Flag comes in, the punt is blocked, and it's going to be an Antelope touchdown, barring the penalty, as it's Cash Garcia who blocked it, scooped it, and scored it. But And once again, good evening, Abernathy, Texas. Good evening, fans of the Abernathy Antelopes and Lady Lopes. It is December 11th and episode number 15 of Outside the Box. Ty Horsford alongside Chance Rocha on this Wednesday night. Hope you are doing well and hope you have warmed up after attending the community Christmas parade this evening here in Abernathy. It was kind of an eventful night. During the parade, there was a fire situation, and the fire trucks had to spring into action right after they finished their parade route, but nothing too serious, and all is well. And in all seriousness, Chance, the Christmas parade, it's a tradition here in Abernathy, a huge turnout once again this year. The Grinch, Santa Claus,
food trucks,
lots of floats, lots of businesses represented as always, kind of kicked off by a Christmas concert, as you mentioned, by the Abernathy Antelope marching band. Just kind of a cool event for families to go out and celebrate the season. And it was cool this evening, but hey, it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been. It was definitely a festive, and it's just fun for the kids to go out and be able to see, that just community spirit. It kind of gets the holiday season kicked off, and it's just a fun time for everybody involved.
Yeah, it is. And I just love how our different organizations and different businesses and churches get involved in community events like that. Lots of those represented. One of the highlights, I think, part of the festivities was a book signing by an author named Stacy Stockard Kaliva for her book, Long Live the Matadors. It's the fearless history of the Texas Tech Mass Rider. And this was an event hosted by Abernathy Drug and Mercantile on Main Street, which was kind of right in the parade central route this year. And Crystal and the pharmacy there doing a lot of neat things, trying to create excitement and getting in on the community spirit. And so that was an event that I saw lots of people in and out of Abernathy Drug and Mercantile participating in that. So just one of the many neat things going on around the community this evening. But Chance, just
when you look at things like that, it's what makes Abernathy. It's what makes community.
Yeah, it's what makes us special and what gives us the ability to just really come together and enjoy just simple things. Everybody getting stuff at the food trucks, them throwing candy, kids all dressed up wearing Santa hats, elf hats, light ups, necklaces and all different kinds of things. And so it's just one of those things where you don't get that in bigger towns. Lubbock, you have the Carol of Lights, you have those kind of things that happen. But at the end of the day, it's special to have something like that in our small town for sure.
Staying on the track of community things going on, Abernathy Junior Basketball, they just recently, I guess on Friday, wrapped up their registration, and practices are already starting this week for that. It's an exciting time. The junior basketball season going to begin on January 11th. Chance, there were about 175 players, first through sixth grade, that registered this year, and kind of the highlighted group of that 40 girls from the mini girls, first and second grade girls. That was the biggest division. There's going to be 5 teams of those girls, and that's going to be a fun group to watch come through the elementary. But again, just lots of kiddos getting involved in different things. We mentioned also Little League signups are underway. They're just kind of in the beginning stages, as you've got a couple of months to sign up for Little League baseball and softball. But last year you had over 300 kids, or right at 300 kids, sign up for our Little League. And so just lots of exciting things for our students and for our kiddos here in the community going on.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time, Ty. It's one of those things to where, you have almost 200 kids for basketball, and then you have a little bit more for the Little League, but that's just due to you have an age group that is you're able to play those pre-K and kinder kids. And in basketball, most of those kids don't get to play, so that's why that number is a little bit higher for the baseball side of things. But I know Mike and the rest of the board, they do a great job with the little dribbler program, and I know there's a lot of kids that are excited. And I think it's going to be a good turnout this year for them. And I think, we're looking forward to the same thing for Little League. So once basketball gets finished up, those kids are going to be zooming right into baseball and softball.
Yep, always something going on. It's a busy time, but it's a fun time, and a time that you're never going to get back with your kiddos.
You only get it once.
You only get it once, absolutely. I want to go a little bit OG Abernathy if we can. And Chance, you being a New Deal boy, I don't know.
I know about this.
If you can fully understand the excitement around this, but Ricky's on Main, kind of a new little storefront there on Main Street. Ricky Powell, longtime Abernathy resident, rocking our steakhouse here in Abernathy, as well as in Plainview, home of the famous cheese rolls. And he's been doing some different things. I know he goes to a farmer's market in Lubbock and Wolfforth.
Yeah.
And, has always done cheese rolls around the holidays and different things since he's been in the restaurant business. But last week on Friday night, he did back by popular demand, I guess, but he did a kind of a pop-up restaurant kind of special evening. I have a feeling because of the success, it's going to probably happen again.
I hope it does.
But he served the famous Donna's Chicken, which staying with that family, the Powell family, Donna, his mother, Donna, passed away here some time ago, but she was the owner of a convenience store / kind of little restaurant type facility here in Abernathy called Triple P's back when I was in school.
Ooh.
And served some famous Donna's Chicken and potato wedges. And Ricky dug into the recipe book and brought that out along with some catfish and cheeseburger, hamburgers, steak fingers. Me and the kiddos took part in that on Friday night. And Chance, it was one of those situations. We showed up. It was from like 5 until they ran out.
Right.
We show up at 6:30. There's a line out the door. We finally get in. We wait like an hour and 20 minutes for our food. No one cared. Everybody's just hanging out,
community,
visiting, laughing. Just I told somebody, I said, Donna would be proud. She would be we would be smiling down on that. But it was just kind of one of those, kind of just taking a look around the room and being like, you know what, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is kind of embracing what makes us who we are, and just things like that. And it was a neat event for sure.
I think it was, and I think, like you said, with the success of it, hopefully we have a couple more nights where we're able to do that, and families are able to go do that. And it's hard to beat good community, good fellowship, and good food, Ty. When you have those things and all those things combined, and you just get to sit around and no one's distracted by other things. You're just being able to communicate and conversate and get a full belly. And now, after all this talk, I'm hungry and I already ate dinner time.
I know, me too. My pizza before the parade, it's wearing off. So, anyways, but just wanted to start our program tonight by highlighting some of the things over the last week that make Abernathy and make our community special. So, tell you what we're going to do. Let's take our first break in the program. We'll thank a couple of our sponsors, and we've got a lot going on to take a look around AISD, so stick with us, and we will be back here in just a flash.
At StormGuard, we provide experts you can count on. Sit back, relax, and let StormGuard take care of your home. If you're experiencing roof issues, let our qualified team of professionals repair or restore your roof. We work directly with your insurance company to make the process easy for you, and inspections are always free. At StormGuard, we are wishing the Lady Lopes and Lopes the best of luck this season. Clark Riley Insurance in Abernathy has been helping people with their property and farm insurance needs for many years. When it comes to insurance, you want to rest easy knowing you have a good rate with good coverage, and at Clark Riley Insurance, we can offer that peace of mind. We are proud to be locally owned and operated and offer a variety of insurance options to meet your needs. Give us a call today or visit us on the West Service Road in Abernathy. We are longtime supporters of the Antelopes and Lady Lopes.
And welcome back here inside Outside the Box as we take a look around Abernathy ISD. Ty Horsford, Chance Rocha back with you on this Wednesday evening. And Chance, wasting no time, as we've talked about the last week or two, you go straight from football season and volleyball season onto the hardwood, and it is in a full swing. And good news, Lady Lopes and Antelopes both playing pretty good here as they kind of prep for district play. As a start on the girls' side, Chance, the Lady Lopes traveled to New Home over last weekend to participate in kind of a round-robin New Home basketball classic tournament. Saw some good competition, and the Lady Lopes go 3-0 in New Home as they get a 51-44 win over LCHS, a 50-42 win over Portales, New Mexico, and then kind of a revenge win.
I was about to say that.
As they get a nice win over the West Plains Lady Wolves, 66-49. West Plains was a team that knocked them off in the friendship tournament back earlier in the season, I believe. And so 3 big wins for the Lady Lopes, and then they made the long road trip, as the boys did. We'll talk about that in a minute. They made the long road trip to Childress, Texas last night, and that's always a tough place to go and win. And another big game for the Lady Lopes. They get a 21-point victory over Childress last night. I believe the final was 58-37, if I'm not mistaken. But you've got girls like McKaylin Marshall, obviously, but Bree Shorter, Emmy Easterwood, Kendall Miller, and others that are stepping up and really playing well for the Lady Lopes right now.
Yeah, I think they're kind of hitting their stride, and you're definitely going to want to see that. It's nice to be going in the district this Friday, Ty, and then pick up 3 wins in the tournament in New Home. Kind of have a good showing to a team that probably was watching you play at the New Home tournament. Those New Home girls, those coaches were probably had a close eye on what Coach Mikey and the girls were pulling off there at New Home with those wins. And then, like you said, just traveling, getting that road win, going to Childress this past Tuesday, and being able to set up, that winning vibe going into Friday against that tough New Home team that they're going to have. And you talked about the success. Obviously, McKaylin, she's been pretty dominant. Kind of the offense is going to run through her. And we've talked about, to still be a successful team, you got to be a complete team. And I think that's something that they're working on. And it shows, Easterwood, she got recognized by the Plainview Daily Herald for her performance a couple weeks ago against Littlefield. So just seeing other girls stepping up on the team, and that's something that's going to go a long way to their success into district play.
And you talk about district play, and you talk about that big matchup coming up on Friday. Actually, will be our first basketball broadcast of the season as well. And not only is it the district opener chance, but just being frank, this is probably going to be a 2-horse race in district play. And the two heavy front runners kicking off district against one another on Friday night here in Abernathy, as you've got the 14th ranked Lady Lopes and the 7th ranked New Home Lady Leopards getting ready to do battle. Abernathy at 10-6 on the season, and New Home coming in at 11-4. And don't let those records fool you. Both of these teams have played stout non-district schedules, playing a lot of bigger schools and a lot of really good tournaments to get them ready for district play. And it's going to be a showdown of epic proportions come Friday night at the Antelope Gym.
It definitely is, and I think you're gonna have a little bit of an advantage as far as seeing that stout competition from the gauntlet that we played not only last year but also going into. They're going to have somewhat of an advantage of they've seen the extensive success as a program. They've had deep runs in the playoffs, and they're kind of used to that. And you saw that they're a school and they're a program that expects to come in and win. And so getting to host them, coming into Abernathy and being able to kind of start off defending your home court, that's something that's going to be big for these Lady Lopes. And I'm excited. I'm sad we're not going to be here. I'm going to be listening, Ty, because we're going to be on the road. But I'm excited for that first game of district play for the girls.
So tune us in 6:15 Friday night, our first broadcast here on this YouTube channel. It'll be a top 15 showdown. The Lady Lopes and Lady Leopards. Switching gears to the boys' side, Chance. Obviously, they started the year with that win against Clarendon in dominant fashion that we talked about a week ago. And then they headed to New Home as well, and they kind of ran into some really stiff competition. The Antelopes go 1-2 in the New Home tournament. They fall short to Pampa pretty lopsidedly. They had an exciting win over Wall, 55-52. That was a Wall team that was probably missing a few guys as Wall was still playing in the football playoffs. They still are playing in the football playoffs. And then you played a really good West Plains team, and West Plains beat you 50-31. But then, Chance, you go on the road to Childress last night and play a really good Childress team. And explain to me how this works. I was looking at scores from the Childress boys. So Pampa in the New Home tournament beat us 69-21. Childress boys beat Pampa by 2. What do? We go on the road and we beat Childress in exciting fashion, 50-49 last night on the road. The Antelopes even their record on the year at 2-2 with a massive win over Childress.
And I think, we talk about it in football a little bit, Ty, and it kind of relates in basketball. Basketball, it can be a matchup situation, but also if you're hot shooting, then you can win some games for sure. And I know we play fast. The boys are going to play fast, so they're going to rely on some more of that outside shooting because they don't have a ton of size. And so reading a lot into that, Pampa's a pretty big school. Childress is as well. West Plains is probably the biggest school that you've played so far. But that Wall team, depending on how they play, that may be a team that you end up, they're all 3As and up. So you won't have to face any of these teams.
Right.
And so it's the same kind of like the girls. You're playing teams that are getting you ready for that district schedule. But I think that they're still gaining their momentum. They still have 2 guys out. And so they have a couple extra weeks to prep, before they start their district play. But them just being able to get situated. And they got another tough test. They're going to play in Brownfield and in that tournament coming up. I think they face off against Coahoma on Thursday. So that's going to be a tough matchup for them as well. That's probably going to be a Coahoma team that is pretty similar to us, and it's one of those things where you want to go in and get on that winning track similar to how the girls have.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Antelopes will be in that Running Cub Classic this weekend, as you mentioned, in Brownfield. Talk sub-varsity basketball, Chance. JV, girls and boys both in action over the last week or so. JV girls also competed in the new home tournament this past weekend and were competitive. They go on the road to Childress last night, and another competitive ball game against a good Childress team. It's kind of back and forth. Childress pulled away late, and Childress on the JV girls side got about a 10-point win over the Abernathy Lady Lopes. And then the boys, the JV boys, they were in the Health Center tournament this past weekend, and they played a good Childress team and fell short 53-38. Again, though, you talk about playing those bigger schools in that strong competition.
For sure you do. And, even some of those, we talk about being shorthanded on the varsity with some of those guys. Some of the boys that possibly would be on JV have been moved up to play some of those varsity positions. And so, how long have you been practicing, Ty? A couple weeks now?
Yeah.
So everyone's still getting their feet underneath them, and I think it's one of those things where facing that strong competition, I think once district play starts, you're going to see a lot more W's up on the board for the boys and for the girls for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And Chance junior high, it was a clean sweep for the 7th and 8th grade girls and boys against the Rawls Jackrabbits last week as well.
It was the dominance was kind of, and we talked about this, Ty. I don't know if the boys do it. I heard Newham did it. I guess Rawls does it as well. They kind of split their teams up into A and B teams, and so when you do that, I'm not sure why they do that. I don't get it, but it leads to games. The girls, the 7th grade girls come out and they win. They score over 40 points, and Rawls girls only score 5. The 7th grade boys, they won 60-4, and I think they stopped the scoreboard at 60.
That's
wild. So that has to be hard for the team that's winning because you have to pull some of those starters. You can't stop kids from scoring even if you're running the clock, and then that has to kind of hurt the other team. You're playing shorthanded and the battles that you're going into, but then you have situations to where like the 7th grade girls are playing that, or the 8th grade girls end up playing the A team, and so their game is really close. They still come out with a W, but they only win by about 5 or 6 points on Monday night. But I think it's one of those things to where it's kind of confusing that they do that, but big wins for the 7th grade and 8th grade boys, big wins for both of them, and the 7th grade girls won big as well, and then the 8th grade girls come up by about 5 points and get the clean sweep for the junior high. So they head to Post this coming Monday to kind of have I think that's their last game before Christmas break.
Yep.
But they head to Post before they go to the break, and hopefully they'll come up with a W.
Yeah, absolutely. Switching gears just a little bit and talk middle school all-region band. You mentioned that was coming up last week here on the program. They had that this past weekend, and it was a big-time performance by a lot of middle school band guys and gals, as 28 Abernathy middle schoolers earned a chair at the all-region band in the all-region band, and their concert will be coming up January 25th, and that will be at the Lubbock Civic Center in Lubbock. But again, just Mr. Knight and company, always a strong band program, and they do a good job marching and all of that. But whenever you get into this season for band, kind of your concert and sight reading and all that different thing, it seems like Abernathy's always right there competing at the highest level.
They definitely are, and you mentioned it, the Knights and Ms. Burrell, they all do a great job of getting those kids involved and interested and motivating them. And that's a big deal. You have a ton of kids that try out, and to have 28 make that all-region band, that's a big deal. And, they've already had some that made all-region that have made the honors band as well. And so I know last year, my daughter Lakin was able to make it, and we were able to go to that concert, and it was just phenomenal. They have it, like you said, at the Lubbock Civic Center, and they dress all nice and pretty, and they put on a good show. And so it's an exciting time for those middle school kids for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. AHS high school cheerleaders, they're gearing up for a state UIL competition coming up in Fort Worth on January the 16th. Over the last week, they also participated in a kind of a game day rally event at LCU in preparation for that. But good luck to the high school varsity cheerleaders.
That's exciting.
That is exciting, and I don't know if that's something they do or have done. I don't feel like we've heard a lot about that in the past, and so a neat opportunity for those girls.
For sure, it's definitely a neat opportunity. For them to get the recognition. Everybody's paying attention to them on Friday nights too, along with the band, and we talk about that. Everyone goes for the football, but I can promise you, it wouldn't be as exciting if you didn't have those cheerleaders,
No
if you
doubt.
didn't have those bands. So for the eyes to be on them and for them to be able to compete, that's a big deal for them. So I'm glad they were able to compete in that LCU event and then able to go to Fort Worth and compete in that state competition on the 16th. So hopefully we'll have some results when that comes up right after Christmas. That's exciting.
Absolutely. And Chance, this next thing kind of made me think of our conversation we had with Miss Hart and Miss Nick in the junior high a couple of weeks ago.
For sure.
As they are really good in the junior high about participating in kind of give back to the community type events. Well, that also happened in the high school this last week. The high school students have been collecting canned food and kind of doing a food drive. And this is something I don't think a lot of people know, but every week the South Plains Food Bank has a mobile food pantry that comes to Lubbock and serves people in this community. And some members of the high school, some students in the high school got to go out, take the canned goods and different things that were raised in the high school and help serve alongside the South Plains Food Bank pantry. And, stuff like that, Chance, I feel like it just trumps all the other things we talk about. We talk about football, we talk about basketball and all the success, but you hear things like that, and again, it just goes back to creating good people.
Creating good people and just creating a good community. All these other things are fun and they're exciting, but when it really comes down to the nitty gritty, how are we preparing these kids and getting them ready for giving back and making this world a better place? And I think them starting that middle school and then that projects on into the high school, and it's just a good opportunity for them just to give back and be a part of the community and see what it means to really serve and be a part of a community that shows love and wants to lift up everyone around them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chance, the highlight of kind of this week's show, and this was an interview I really enjoyed.
I did too.
I think it was one of the better. All of our interviews have been good, but this one was really good as well. As we sat down this week with Landry Kidd, our assistant principal in the high school, and Jill Forbes, our counselor in the high school, just talked a lot about how they prepare seniors for life after high school, the steps they go to. It's a big job for those admin and leaders and teachers and staff in our high school to do that. And just had a really good visit with Mr. Kidd and Miss Forbes. And how about we let you listen to that, kind of take that in, and then we can kind of come back and talk about it. It's kind of a lengthy interview, but it was all really good stuff and didn't want to cut any of it out. And so I think you're really going to enjoy hearing from Landry and Jill. So let's swing it to the video, and then we'll be back to kind of recap what they talked about. Awesome. Well, once again here on Outside the Box, we're joined today by Landry Kidd and Jill Forbes, members of our high school team at Abernathy High School. Thank you guys so much for taking a few minutes with us today and just chatting a little bit about things going on at the high school.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, just kind of a broad question. We're winding down semester one of the school year. Kind of overall, how have things gone for the high school campus, and what are some things that kind of you're most proud of, I guess?
I think mine would probably be our cell phone policy. We, Tate kind of throw me to the wolves. This is my first year on the job, and we implemented this big cell phone policy and expected a lot of fight on it. And the kids have bought into it, and the teachers have really pushed it. Kind of, the later you get into the year, typically teachers will lax on some rules, and then it kind of pushes on to the next classroom and the next classroom. And we have not had a fight overall. I in my opinion anyway. I walk by classrooms or I go in classrooms and cell phones are up. You've got your one or two every now and then that just kids make mistakes, kids are kids, and it is what it is. But I'm really, really proud of that. That's a hard rule to implement, and I think they've done well with it.
Yeah.
And then another perspective of it too is just like even during advisory, because a lot of kids don't have a lot to do during advisory, which would be a time that they'd be on their phones. They're playing games, they're talking, so it's not just about following rules, but it's just better for them all the way around to not have that distraction and not have that stress, because we all know we can look at our phone and it can put us in a bad mood for hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just to kind of, for the most part, have that removed, I know it was probably a little hard for parents that wanted
Yeah.
to get
Yeah, for
a
sure.
hold of their kids, but really everybody's been great about
No,
it.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Obviously, a big part of the goal here, I know, for you guys and all of the staff at the elementary is preparing students, freshmen through senior, but especially those seniors, kind of getting them ready for life after high school, whether that's college, the workforce, military, whatever that looks like. Can y'all just talk a little bit kind of about that process? What measures you take to help students in that regard? And then I know you guys do a lot of things to celebrate students, whether it is going to the military, going to the workforce, or going to college. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yep, that's me.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what you're doing.
Because you might have to edit because I can really nerd out about.
I love
this
it.
kind
No,
of
that's
stuff,
awesome.
But I mean, first of all, and I think I'm the oldest person in here by far, but like when I was in high school, but I think also when y'all were in high school, like, okay, the job of the high school is to get them to graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it was just like walking off the edge of a cliff and it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? But like now, I mean, the state expects us to prepare them for the next thing. So, and I love that. And we really try really hard to make sure they see all the doors open for them, whether it be college, 2 year or 4 year, a trade school, going to the military, going straight to work. Um, we have pathways in high school, whereas you might have taken like random electives back in the day, just pick what you want to take, because that's what I did. We have pathways that we encourage kids to, really go down and get a feel for whether you're interested. So if they want to be a teacher, they can take, 3 or 4 years of classes in education. So by the time they graduate high school, they're either going to be like, yes, this is definitely what I want to do before I go spend money, or I can't stand kids. Let me find something else I want to do. But we have pathways for, ag, engineering, animal science, plant science, culinary arts. We've started in the last couple of years. We just started health science, so like nursing and,
Yeah.
the health field. So next year will be our practicum for that. We're really excited about that. Business. I think that might be it. But the pathways, and then just we really try to get them ready for college, because some kids that think they don't want to go to college when they're sophomores decide later that they do. And so, we do things like SAT, school day testing, and you hear so much at lower grades about STAR testing, and it is very important. You have to pass your STAR test to graduate. But we also, do a lot of TSI testing, which is college placement tests. So kids have to take those before they can take dual credit classes.
Mm-hmm.
And then before they can, sit in a college English or math class, they have to be TSI compliant. So our juniors and seniors are not done with tests. They still have like some things to do. And so we really provide all those opportunities for them. We partner with Learn, and they help with kids with financial aid, filling out their FAFSA, because that is a state requirement now. And then one of the things that is the coolest to me, we started a couple years ago, is our signing day.
Mm-hmm.
So we've always had athletic signings,
Yeah.
but the last 2 years in auditorium, we've, everybody that has signed with a college, who's, has signed with the military. We had, a kiddo last year that was fire department, going straight to work. We had, somebody that had a job lined up with an electrician. So we celebrate all those things because we don't want kids to feel like one's better than the other. And so we do that in the auditorium. Elementary kids, middle school kids come, and like it's cool to hear like younger kids say, "Man, I didn't realize you could go to South Plains College for commercial music,"
Yeah.
and just all the different like trades and stuff that they have there. So we really just try to expose, and we have a grant the last couple of years where we've hired Gary Pugh to come back and be our student success advisor. And he that has allowed us to take more college visits. He's taking kids next week to Larcon Electric in Lubbock, Sinclair Heating and Air Conditioning, so they can
Awesome.
kind of see what that's like. So really, I mean, I really feel like by the time kids graduate, they can really have a good path in place, even if they change their mind and they've also got some things in their back pocket.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. I love what all goes into that and how you guys celebrate. Can y'all just talk a little bit about this year's senior class? What makes them unique? What makes them special? Kind of what stands out about the group that we have right now as seniors?
Yeah, so so this is my first group, obviously here in Abernathy, and I tell you, they've got to be the most welcoming and social kids. That was kind of the first group that we had class meetings, and I kind of could get a grasp of who that was my plan, to get a grasp of who I needed to work on with getting to know, and who was going to be open and social and make themselves known to me. And this whole senior class kind of just took me in and man, made me an antelope, and it was awesome. They're just fun, they're social, they buy in, they're leaders. You see it, athletically, you see it academically, you see it in the halls. They have fun. Um, and they open up to the freshmen and help the freshmen out. But for me, it was hey, Mr. Kid, you're here now. You're a part of us. We're happy to have you here, and that was awesome for me. Sometimes we can look at a class and man, they're smart academically, or they're not, or they struggle with discipline. And every kid has their own thing, but the senior class is. I'm happy that this is my first senior class because it's a special group.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And this is the first class I've had all the way through, and they're just super well rounded. They're not just athletes. They're not just ag kids.
That's cool.
They're not just smart, but they like do it all, and they're very kind, and they serve well, and they're good to each other.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Obviously, district wide, a big change coming up in the spring semester is giving the 4-day school week a shot. Obviously, I know that probably changes preparations and some things somewhat. Can you just talk a little bit about what has gone in preparing not only students, but I'm sure staff for that change?
Yeah, so teacher wise, we've created what are called PLCs, they're professional learning communities. And so it's where each department meets. They meet once a week. And so mine and Tate's big push was, let's make sure that we're prepared, because we are about to lose, I think it's 13 instructional days. And as good teachers, like every single one of our high school teachers specifically are, we have a great staff. I think they were concerned about it because they love to teach and they're really good at it, and they make sure that their kids are where they're supposed to be at the end of the year. And it's kind of just been our idea. Let's just push in the first semester. Let's push at the front end of it. That way we're not stressing at the back end. Because we all knew January was going to hop on us real quick. And man, they've done it. They've done it well. They've done it exceedingly well. And they've bought into it. And I think for the kids, really, it kind of just changes our academic eligibility dates. There's a lot of changes that go into that you don't consider. But I think we're ready for it. I think our teachers have kind of bought into it, and they've busted their tails and have gotten to where they need to be in this first semester to be able to accept what's about to happen in the second semester. We're excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Well, obviously, to make any good organization run, it takes strong leaders. It takes people that can work well together. I know here at the high school, you guys have a strong team of leaders and staff and admin. Can you just talk a little bit about how you guys gel together, work together, and just kind of what that looks like on a daily basis?
So I'll go first, and I'll apologize to Jill, like Tate and I do, I think, every day. For her to have to work with so close quarters with me and Tate, I think me and Tate, we kind of bonded right off the bat, and we're so alike that it's probably not a good thing. I'll let her talk about it here in a second. But all of us, all three of us in the front, and then I want to give a little shout out to Gary to have that, as Tate and I are in kind of newer roles, to have his experience and his wisdom to lean on and guide on and to guide us in the right direction. It is very valuable for Tate and I. But Tate kind of set a precedent early, and I hopped in line and followed him. I mean, he's a great guy to follow, and so to have that type of leadership at the helm, and then Mr. Waldrop, at the same time, he's he's done so many good things, I think, for Abernathy and for the community and for the school district and for the kids. And I talked to him the other day, and I thought it was amazing. I don't know many superintendents that know kids' names like from pre-K to 12, and he does. You know, I watched him in the cafeteria the other day, and he was talking to a bunch of random kids that I didn't even know who they were. And so I think that speaks of the leadership of this whole district. So,
and you know, I am kind of the old lady, but that's okay. It's been a lot of fun having Tate and Landry, and you know, Tate came in last year as the assistant principal, and he just has done such a great job with, you know, just like staff morale, and he's just really good at showing appreciation, and you know, he's been really good about structure and holding fast to like the rules and what's important, but he also likes to have fun. And then Landry comes this year, and they make school fun, and so I've really enjoyed working with them, and you know, we both share a love for Mean Girls, the movie. And so
we wear pink on Wednesdays.
He brought it. He's like, on Wednesdays we wear pink, and I'm like, okay.
I do. I wear every Wednesday. I wear pink.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
Mondays.
I love
I
it.
don't know what I'm gonna wear this Wednesday.
I'll have to figure something
Anyway.
out. I've got plenty of pink you can borrow.
But yeah, we have a good time.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with us today. It sounds like there's lots of exciting things going on at the high school, and you guys are not only killing it, but having a good time doing it. So that's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for having us. Enjoyed it.
And welcome back. And I tell you what, Chance, that was a fun interview. You can tell they work hard and they play hard.
Yeah, they do.
Which I think is important, especially in the roles that they're in. You've got to enjoy what you do. You've got to enjoy the people you work with. And it was evident in talking to these two that high school staff and leadership team, they do just that. They work hard. They care about the kids. They love the kids. They pour into the kids. But they have a good time with it as well.
They do, and I think that was something that they complement each other very well. Landry and Tate, you know, assistant and the principal, they complement each other very well. And it was funny, you know, when you talk about celebrating and bringing some fun and excitement. We have the interview set up, and it started a little later than expected, but it's because they were doing something for the teachers. They went and got some drinks for them, and just to recognize them and say, hey, you know, it's the holiday season. There's only a couple weeks left, kind of pushing through because they've had that extensive time that they've had this semester to prep and have to have those educational days to make up for, because we're going to have that 4-day school week next semester. And so they just kind of talked about that a little bit in the interview. And so they were just kind of rewarding those teachers for all the hard work that they put in and all the things that are coming and all the changes that are coming, and how they've just embraced them and been able to be excited, not only for the kids and motivating them, but just for the good job they've done all year long.
You know, one of my favorite things that they do at the high school, and I know Jill is a big force behind this, but they do an excellent job at celebrating student success, regardless of whether it's going to college, whether it's going to the military, whether it's going to a 2-year school, a 4-year school, trade school, military, going straight to the workforce. That they celebrate that. They have a signing day for that. That's a big deal, and I just think that's huge, because there's so many different avenues that students can take when they graduate, and they don't necessarily elevate one over the other, because every student's different, and they realize that, and they just want the students to know that they have options.
Well, that they have options, and I think the fact that they're preparing them for that, and they understand, like, and Jill even mentioned it, like, there may be kids that they get their freshman and sophomore year and think, you know what, college isn't for me. And then they start to get recruited their junior year, or there's something really sparks their interest. And then they say, okay, now we're behind the 8 ball, but guess what? We can still set you up for success. And then you have those other students who are like, you know, I know college isn't for me. I want to go straight into a trade. And they push them in that avenue to let them know, hey, this is what you're going to need to do to be successful. And just letting them know, like, the path, you know, that you choose, there's still work to be done. And kind of setting them up and pushing them in that direction. And I know they have some extra help with some of the grant. They kind of talked about that. And then that's an awesome thing, too, that you just have that one extra resource to be able to motivate those kids and get those juniors and seniors really ready. And then also prepping those freshmen and sophomores for that time when it is coming, when they're having to start to make those decisions. And I think that, you know, even that room that we were in, you could tell the things that were on the walls, just talking about the difference between going to college or going straight into the workforce and what those things look like, and the cost of it, ACT, SAT, all that kind of stuff. And so I just know that they're doing a great job getting our young students here at Abernathy ready and prep for the next chapter in their life, for sure.
Well, Jill talked about and this is completely foreign to when you and I were in school. I think whenever we were in school, dual credit was just starting to become a thing.
I think I got English and maybe a math, but
yeah, but I mean, beyond that, now students are having the opportunity to almost have real world experience while they're in high school, whether that's in a field like nursing or an electrician trade or this or that or the other.
Ag mechanics, business,
culinary. There's things and pathways that you can implement into the school system while they're still in high school that get them some real world experience doing things like that.
Well, and I think that's just seeing the opportunities, and when you have kids that take advantage of that and you have the ability to do that, there's more opportunity to apply for grants or to get things and bring more resources to Abernathy to give kids that opportunity to really, because some kids may not know, culinary school, I didn't even know that was an option, or I didn't know,
or cosmetology
or whatever it may be, or they may think, I want to go into nursing, and then they take some dual credit, some nursing, and they're like, you know what, maybe I don't, which is good too.
Yeah.
So that way you're not getting, a first year into college and you feel like, I just spent all this money, versus being able to do that in high school, in a lot different environment to where you can kind of set yourself up for understanding where you want to go and which path you want to take. But I just think that, they're doing a good job, and just the focus that they had. And I thought it was pretty cool, Landry talking about it was nice that those seniors were like welcoming to him. Yeah. This is going to be his first group that he sees, his first senior class. And then Jill talked about this is her first senior class. She saw freshmen all the way through.
Right.
And so I thought the parody of those two things, like he felt welcomed as the new assistant principal here, and the fact that she feels like this is her first group that she was able to see them go all the way through. And it is a good group of seniors. And I think, freshman through senior, I think we just have a good group right there in the high school. And I think it's due to the admin and the staff that we have there kind of pushing them in the right direction.
Well, and just an example of Jill and Landry and Tate's and others' leadership there at the high school level. I had one of the staff members reach out to me over the last couple of weeks. It was a teacher in the high school, and asked if I would visit with one of his students that was interested in going into the real estate profession, and knew that that's what I did. And of course, I was happy to have that conversation. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like teachers and staff and these guys that we talk to, they're going the extra mile wanting to ensure that these kids are successful.
Well, I think it's that, and I think you kind of talked about, like, when we were growing up, it was like military or college.
Yep.
And if you don't do that, then figure it out.
Yep.
And now there's so much more, because I think they understand that there's so many more avenues, and that they want to make students understand that you can be successful no matter what it is, but you just have to be prepped for that path and kind of know what it's going to take to get down that path and set you off. Once you're graduating, you're not just kind of wandering aimlessly from odd end job to odd end job, which you can still have those situations, but at the same time, if you're putting them on a path to success, they're more likely to go down that road a lot quicker.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Chance, as we kind of wrap things up here on the broadcast this evening, we talked about, we laughed. We're like, this is going to be a shorter show. And here we are, 50 minutes in. But just lots of cool things to talk about.
For sure.
We already mentioned Lady Lopes Open Up District this Friday. We'll have the broadcast for you at 6:15. You'll want to catch that one, a top 15 matchup with the New Home Lady Leopards. And then next Wednesday, we'll be here for Outside the Box. It'll be our final Wednesday night broadcast.
Our holiday episode.
We'll have to see what we're going to do there. We'll have to talk about that. We were going to do live from the parade tonight, but then our real jobs got in the way of that.
Real jobs, some weather was a little cooler than expected, and it was just a whole thing. But that's okay.
No doubt. But we still will be in the new year back with Outside the Box. It's going to look a little bit different. We mentioned last week, whatever basketball home game is that week on Tuesday or Friday, we're going to
live
on location from the Antelope Gym. We're going to kind of air our Outside the Box episode prior to Lady Lope and Antelope basketball. So stay tuned for that. As always, let us know if there's things going on around school or around the community. We want to highlight it. Here in about 10 minutes, if you're watching us live, flip over to SportsCenter. our very own Bryson Daly is going to be live on Sports Center.
Army Navy.
That's just crazy. Like,
it is.
And unfortunately, he didn't get invited as a finalist to the Heisman, but just a great year for Army and for Bryson, and it was fun to watch for sure.
It is fun to watch, and we joked about it, Ty, and I said, man, that would have been fun if it would have been Army versus Texas Tech in one of the bowls, and it was like, that's hard. Who are you going to pick to root for? Which it's hard to be a Red Raider and then root for Bryson, so it's probably best that.
I'm glad they did. I didn't want
I just don't think
part of that.
I don't think it's fair. They kind of got to. I don't know about Marshall. I mean, their pick to play wasn't as tough, but
yeah, for sure.
They had a great season. He had a great season. I think he has possibility to possibly get drafted. I'm just throwing that out there. We talked about that off air, but we'll see. But if you want to go catch Bryson, I don't know if anyone's going to beat our interview time, but I'm just saying he'll be on SportsCenter.
He's doing it nonetheless.
We started it off. Let's just say that.
They all watched us, and they're like, oh, we got to get this guy on. But anyways, catch Bryson at 9:30 this evening on ESPN Sports Center. Parents, it's going to be breakfast and high fives with heroes coming up Friday before school. They're going to be firefighters and some different individuals.
That's just cool.
Giving kids high fives whenever my kids were in kindergarten. One of my kids, Barrett's in kindergarten. When Parker was into kindergarten, it scared her. I'm like, of course it scares you, child.
But I just think it's cool that they want to come out and recognize that.
It's a neat thing.
It is, especially for my son who's told me since he was 3, I'm going to be a firefighter.
I like it. Go crew, go.
Like, go do it. I remember he used to say, I'm going to be a firefighter. And I said, what about other things? He's like, I might play football and baseball too, Dad. I was like, okay, well, that's a triple threat. I guess you could do it. You're going to put out fires.
There you go. I like it.
I think he's dwindled it down to firefighter now, but I'm okay with that too.
Well,
so
there you go.
So that's exciting. And then if you have a second grader or if you just want to go see a program, the Christmas program, the OK Corral program is Friday afternoon as well. So
yeah, Parker came home and she was, Dad, I've got to dance with a boy.
Crew did tell me that as well. He said, Dad, I'm a square dancer. I said, a square dancer? He goes, yeah, I am, Dad. I'm a square dancer. He said, I got subbed in. Somebody couldn't do it, so I have to do it. I said, sounds like you're going to be dancing at the program, so we'll see what happens.
Lots of fun stuff going on
for sure
during the holidays at all of our campuses. But Chance, as always, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Had lots to talk about tonight, and we'll be back next Wednesday at 8:30. But until then, good night.
God bless.
And go Lopes.